reason I think it's important to find areas of your life to create breakthroughs rather than just saying, okay, I'm stuck here, I just have to accept it, is it's not only just for you and the adventure and the learning you create, but it's showing other people we really are beings that have this unlimited potential. We came from this creator that is unlimited, and we are unlimited, but we choose to come into into form of a body just to have some fun, right? That you don't have when you're non-physical. But at the same time, what I like to call it is, one, and this is not an original term, but one foot in the physical, one foot in the non-physical. The non-physical is where we can really shift reality. The physical, when we buy into that, things are fixed. This is solid, that's not. I can change this, I can't change that. So it's kind of fun to just play in both worlds. And to me, that's the fun of life.
Welcome to Letting Go and the Greatest Secret, where we explore the end of your suffering and the beginning of lasting happiness. I'm Hale Dwoskin, and today our guest is Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy is a father of two, husband of 30 years, CEO or board member of 8 companies, early stage investor in over 40 companies, and a worldwide philanthropist. After a successful career in a Wall Street firm, Tom found his true passion in the field of helping people in business, athletics, and life break through their limitations and step into their full potential. What is the work that you do? How would you describe the work that you do?
Kind of hard to describe because I do a lot of different things. I'm an entrepreneur. I've had different companies like restaurants, insurance companies, software companies. But the main work that I do, Hale, is around helping people, similar to what you do, helping people really step into who they could be and who they really want to be, but they feel stuck. And so that's the work I've been doing for a long time. And I started that coming out of the financial world. I was with a Wall Street firm and I was doing well. I was the youngest they'd ever hired out of university, out of college, but I didn't love it. And I saw this guy, Tony Robbins, on TV one day, and he'd just written a book called Unlimited Power. And I read that book. And so I moved out to California to help run his company when I was in my 20s. And I just loved it when I saw people light up. So I got addicted to that. I worked with him for about 3 years. Still a good friend, but I moved on and I started my own company to do that, primarily with corporate America. Mm-hmm. But I just like you do, I'm sure you just love watching people light up. The way you're lighting up right now, I even love that smile you've got on your face there.
Right. Yeah. No, it is fun. It really is fun to help people on any level we can. But when people either recognize they're holding themselves back or they recognize what's even beyond that, there is this definitely a sense of something lighting up and something falling away. So it's really fun to be a part of that.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, you have a new book out. Tell me a little bit about the book and what's in it.
Well, the book is called The Breakthrough Code. It's a parable. I've written a couple other books, but this was the first parable I've written. So it's not a true story, but there's parts of me in it. But also just things I've experienced and parts of my work. The Breakthrough Code really is, and it's not, no one's ever discovered this before. So some of the things you would recognize in it, but you would, that you wouldn't believe, and you probably would believe because you see all these people that are still stuck, even though the information's out there. So I wanted to bring out the information of what I call the Breakthrough Code. There's 3 big ideas in it.
Okay.
That allow people to get unstuck and live what I call a life without limits. It doesn't mean every area of your life is always working perfectly, but where there is a limit, there's a way to, with some focused effort and using these techniques, there's a way to break through. And it's an important book to me because I really did put my heart and soul into it. I was a person that was stuck a lot, particularly earlier in my life. I was 3 years old. I still remember looking out the window of our home. I had a 2-year-old brother. I had a little 6-month-old brother. My mom was probably 28 years old, and a taxi cab pulled up. My dad was in the Army. He was an Army officer who had been sent to Vietnam.
Mhm.
Taxi cab pulled up to tell my mom that my dad had been killed in Vietnam the day before, about a month before he was supposed to come home. So I grew up with lots of fear, lots of anxiety, lots of sadness, grief,
Sure.
all those emotions. And I just thought that's the way it was. And over time, I figured out, hey, you can let go of that old baggage. Your work is wonderful. I love your work. You can let go of those old thoughts, energies, emotions, and really be free. And so that's part of my journey, and I wanted to share it with people. And I actually went through your work many years ago, and it was super, super helpful. I love it.
Oh, cool. I didn't know you'd done that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So what you said, you mentioned three principles or three kernels of wisdom that are in your book. What are they?
I call them big ideas.
Yeah,
So
let's hear the big ideas.
there we go.
Tom.
Let's go. And there's some habits associated with them. But the first big idea, if you're going to make a breakthrough, I call it focus on less and then obsess. So you can't, like I can't focus on being healthier and being wealthier and being a better husband to my wife and being a dad. There's a certain amount of energy we have every single day. And when we just kind of spread it out over 50 things, it gets diluted. When you're stuck, you need focused energy. You don't need a light bulb, you need a laser. So the first thing that I ask people to do is like figure out where is it that you want to apply focused energy to create a breakthrough? And what does that look like? And so they get clear on that. And then the second part of that, so it's focus on less and then obsess. I'm not saying obsess in a conscious way, but we've got a conscious mind, we've got a subconscious, I call it the superconscious. That's where you want to create the obsession. You program down into the superconscious what you want. And you do that. And again, this is all stuff you're familiar with, but I like people to do it when they first wake up in the morning, right before they go to bed, when they're in an alpha state. But the superconscious can process 40 million bits of information per second. Get that working for you. So that's number one. Focus in and then create a superconscious movement or obsession where it starts finding you those ideas. It sees Hale's book in a bookstore and goes, oh my gosh, that's a book I need to read, right? Your superconscious can do all that. And I don't even believe that the mind is actually in the body. I think we live within our minds, and our superconscious mind is out there connecting with you, connecting with whatever we need once it knows what we want.
Sure. So, but talk a little bit about more what you mean about programming. Are you talking about an affirmation, or are you talking about just a focused intent? What does that mean to you exactly?
Well, one of the habits, there's two habits that I have under this particular big idea.
Sure. Yeah, let's go for the habits.
Yeah. So one of them is to connect what you want to your purpose. So people say, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. And then they go out there and they do it for a little while and they work on it. And then it gets a little hard and they give up. Well, we're all here with a unique purpose, something we're born to do. The reason we came onto this planet in the bodies that we're in. Mark Twain said the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. When you can attach a result in your life to the reason you're on this planet, now it's got extra power. And so that helps to strengthen the program. And then the other habit I have is I say, see it, feel it, believe it, and then let it go. So, but really see it done, feel it done, believe that it's done. Believe just means a feeling of certainty about it being done, because that's what truly programs, not just an affirmation. If I say an affirmation like, I'm really happy, like I didn't see that, I didn't feel that, and I don't even believe that. I mean, I am happy, but there was nothing programming there. And that's where people, from the old affirmations, they go, I tried affirmations, it didn't work. Well, you were saying it like it wasn't true, so of course your mind is going to reject it. So there's a way of programming that it requires you to literally carve into your mind the reality already being there. Everything's created twice, first inside, then outside. When we create it inside, it starts forming on the outside. But to form something that's, like our bodies, like to heal your body, this is dense energy. It's going to take carving in the mind. So that's an example of the way we teach. It's not just an affirmation. It really is seeing it, feeling it, believing it, and then letting it go. Once you see it, feel it, believe it, let it go for that day or for the next few hours, and just let your superconscious work on it.
Okay, see, great. So it's kind of like reprogramming yourself. Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, the second big idea is upgrade your story, upgrade your life. So the first big idea is just focus in on what you want, see it, feel it, believe it. But then the second idea, and this relates a lot to your work, is, okay, I've got this result that I want to create,
yes,
but I'm dragging around my story of who I am and what I'm capable of and what I'm able to do that wasn't able to create this new result. It created where I am right now. And so we upgrade our phones, we upgrade our software, but most people don't think about upgrading their story because they think this is true what I believe.
Right.
And
right.
well, it's true for you because you believe it. But one of the things that I point to even in the recent time is the Ukrainian war.
Yes.
So if you look at, because what I'm really talking about with the breakthrough code is how do you shift reality?
Mm-hmm.
Every day we wake up, and based upon the way we are programmed and the way we typically act in a day, which we're just acting based on our habits or our programming, there's certain possibilities. There's probably, let's say, 1 million possibilities. But the most likely one is that you're going to do the exact same thing you did yesterday. And so the probabilities are that these possibilities are going to be the ones that come true.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the Ukrainian war and you look at what President Zelensky did, the most probable outcome of that war was that Russia comes in 2 or 3 days, they take over Ukraine, Ukraine surrenders, they negotiate, some sort of surrender that gives them a little bit, but not much. That didn't happen, Hale. Mm-hmm. Zelensky said, we're going to win this war. We need help, though, but we're going to win. He had a story inside of him that I don't even know he had his whole life, but he stepped up. He developed a new story. He let go of whatever was stopping him, maybe using the Sedona method or whatever method. Yeah, but he let go of that. And we responded. Like there's no way all of us would have cared as much had he not shifted reality by the way that he stepped up and created this story that we all embrace. And now we're all cheering for them. Energetically every day, I'm seeing the Russians go back into Russia, right? And I don't think I would have done that. Like I don't do that for every conflict that's out there, but this guy shifted reality by having a big outcome that he's completely focused on and then changing his story and changing your story and my story and most of the world's story.
Yes, yes. Yeah, most of us live in a story of our own making, not realizing that the story itself is just a limitation.
Exactly. And we live not only in a story of our own making, but a lot of us have just adopted someone else's story. Like
totally.
I was 3 years old when my dad died. My mom was filled with grief and sadness and fear. Guess what I got filled with? I was in an alpha state at 3 years old. I adopted her beliefs back then. I took on her emotions, mm-hmm. and I was stuck in that for a few years. And gradually I learned that, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to keep this part of my story. This is my mom's story. Mm-hmm. I don't need to keep this part of my story. And when you free yourself up, but the interesting thing is, this is why I love your work so much. A lot of people think, okay, I'm just going to create a new story. I'm successful, I'm strong, I'm smart, and all that. But if you're layering that on top of a faulty foundation of old limiting beliefs, remembering experiences where you failed over and over again with intense energy, it's on a weak foundation. It can't take. This is why I love your work. You're clearing out. So now there's room. There's room, and it's fertile ground for this new story to develop. And yes. That's part of what we teach in the Breakthrough Code too.
That's great. That's great. Yes. Most of us have built a life on sand.
Yeah.
Or sometimes on clouds.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not a very solid foundation, or we've been doing a perpetual remodel instead of just getting a new house.
Tear down the house and rebuild. Yeah,
Right.
not a remodel. That's a good analogy. I like that. That's very, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that one. I like
Go for it. It's fine with
it. Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Great. And you, so there are three. What's the third one?
The third one's about action. I do believe in action. I do believe though that our actions are driven by our story, right? If I believe I can, like Zelensky at some level believed that they could win the war, and that drove his actions. If he truly didn't believe that, I don't think he would have acted in the way that he did.
Yes.
But here's the thing. It's not just like some people say, take massive action. Once you know what you want, you guys take. I don't believe in massive action. I think that's you're going to bump, you're going to run over people, you're going to break windows, not literally, but that's what massive action does, because it doesn't discriminate. It's just act. So you're acting. What our third big idea is, pack your day with effective action. Now, what's effective action? There's two types of actions. There's action that I call achievement action. It's writing an email, it's getting on a podcast, it's going to a meeting, giving a speech, whatever, writing a proposal.
Yes.
That's you're trying to achieve. But then there's also recovery action or nourishment action, and that's using the Sedona method. It's meditating, it's getting enough sleep. So you've got to pack your day with both types of action, because it's not just like go, 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 go. Like, earlier today, actually, I did a bunch of stuff this morning. I've sat and meditated and did kind of heart mouth breathing in a hyperbaric chamber for an hour and 15 minutes this morning.
That's great.
Yeah, but people are like, well, how did that help you? Because I came out of it better, with less inflammation, right? With just more energy. So that type of action is important too. And so we show people it's not just go, go, go. That was the old way of doing it. That didn't really work. It burned people out.
Yes.
You need to replenish too.
Great. Yeah, that's true. If you're not taking care of the body mind, it does break down.
It does.
And that action, do you also, as part of your work, focus on that there's more than just the goal? There's living life. I guess that's the second type
Absolutely.
of action.
Yeah. And I don't even talk about goals. I call them results. The reason that we have them though is to create a little bit of a path where we do get to live life. It's not about necessarily achieving that's going to be so great. Most people, when they achieve something, it's great for a little while, then they're like, man, I thought this was going to be life changing, and it was kind of cool.
It's just
but
right. Yeah.
yeah. And so, and the other thing too, the reason I think it's important to find areas of your life to create breakthroughs, rather than just saying, okay, I just have to, I'm stuck here, I just have to accept it, is it's not only just for you and the adventure and the learning you create, but it's showing other people we really are beings that have this unlimited potential. We came from this creator that is unlimited, and we are unlimited, but we choose to come into into form of a body just to have some fun, right? That you don't have when you're non-physical. But at the same time, we can, what I like to call it is, one, and this is not an original term, but 1 foot in the physical, 1 foot in the non-physical. The non-physical is where we can really shift reality. The physical, when we buy into that, things are fixed. This is solid, that's not. I can change this, I can't change that. So it's kind of fun to just play in both worlds. And that's, to me, that's the fun of life.
Yes. Well, life is meant to be lived fully and enjoyed, as opposed to just work from one intent to the next. So it sounds like you're sharing that with people. So is there any other big learnings that you'd like to share with people?
The thing that I really love to share is that we can shift reality. Most people are just accepting. One of the quotes that I use or that I came up with is, average conforms to reality. The average person's going to look out at the world and go, okay, how do I fit in? How do I just kind of keep going? And it's almost like, I use this picture sometimes in my presentations where, you've got this traffic jam. It's moving super slow, but everyone's just kind of moving along. But then there's the fast lane, and that's open. And in real life, like we like to go in the fast lane, but in cars, but we don't like to go in it when we don't fit in.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I felt super uncomfortable with early on in my life was I figured out I'm different.
Uh-huh.
Like, I was a pretty good student, I was a good athlete, but inside my thoughts were different. Like when you lose a parent at age 3, life is not black and white anymore. It's gray. And I was searching and I felt super different, a little weird compared to other people. And I was always just trying to fit in, fit in, fit in. It took me a long time before I could say, hey, wait a minute, I'm different. Like I need to be out in this other lane here, even though there's not a lot of people there. I need to be out there because that's where I'm really living life.
Yeah, what I've noticed is that the people who come to either self-help work or self-improvement work or any kind of spiritual pursuit, uh, they do feel different. They don't just simply go along with the way the world appears to be. They're
Yeah.
probing to see what's actually real or true, and that leads people down many different explorations. And each exploration for most people is unique, and it's important to honor your own exploration, and honor that the no two body minds are the same. They're each one is a unique expression, and
I love that.
at the same time, inside there is something that is already unified, is already whole, is already enough.
Yeah, I love that. What
And
what got you on what got you on this path? I'm just curious. You heard my story a little bit. What got you on this path?
well, I was attracted to this because from a very young age, I was very interested in spirituality.
Hmm.
And um, I guess the defining moment, what was the defining moment? Well, there was numerous ones, but from a very young age, I realized that the way the world is perceived is
Hmm.
not exactly what's real.
Exactly.
There's something more,
Yeah.
and something simpler, and something more direct, and more um, I don't know, more natural. And
Yeah.
so I I became an explorer. I started exploring that. And I also very fortunate that at age 22, I met Lester Levinson, who
Yeah.
was my mentor,
Yes.
and he told me about a process that I'd never heard of. But all he said is, "You sit around the table and release." I had no idea what he was talking about. But in my connecting with him, he's talked about a course. I did it the very next weekend, and it was a 2 weekend course. Before the course was over, I had this deep intuitive knowing that I was going to dedicate the rest of my life
Wow.
to sharing that particular teaching.
That's awesome.
And he turned over his copyrights to me in the early 90s before he died, and the work has continued to evolve. Uh, from just letting go to just letting go in one way to many ways of letting go, and it's also evolved in a more non-dual way to helping people just see through all sense of apparent limitation. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. You
it's
you may have been my instructor. I took the course probably in the either late 80s or early 90s.
yes.
And it was in Del Mar, California, I think that I
Oh, Del Mar. Del
yeah.
Mar, California. Yes, I probably was your instructor if you took it in Del Mar.
Long time ago. Long
Yes,
time.
yes.
We're
The
both
old,
dating ourselves right
That's
now.
right. Well, yes, we're old. Oh well, but I do remember. Um, I at the time in that time period, the only one who was instructing the Sedona method in Del Mar was me.
Wow. Okay,
And there, we,
cool.
we had different instructors that kind of specialize in
Yeah.
different areas. So you probably were in one of my classes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Good to see you again, teacher.
That's right. Likewise. So, anything else you want to share with people before we wrap up? Any core suggestion or challenge or something you'd like to leave people with?
Yeah, I would just challenge everybody to look at their life and just ask themselves, where do I want to grow? Where do I want to grow? We get so addicted to just being who we are. 95% of what we do in a day is pretty much already dictated by our habits. So
Hmm.
we think we're free thinkers. Yeah, I go into the day every day. I go into every day, just kind of making things happen. Well, the things you're making happen, you're doing with your old habits. And we're meant to grow. We're meant to evolve. We're meant to learn. We're meant to, learn from people like you how to get rid of old stories, dislodge things that are causing us pain so we can move on to be more free and happier. And that's really what the breakthrough code, which I hope people will read. And it's a parable, so it's an easy read. It's on Amazon. And I really want people to understand they're not trapped. I felt trapped when I was younger. I felt, alone so much. I felt cheated. I don't have a dad. And now I look back and I go, yeah, that happened, but that made me. I would have loved to have had my dad. I'm not saying I wouldn't have, I would want to have happened what happened, but it made me. It made me more empathetic. It made me more of a leader. I wouldn't be here sitting talking with you had that not happened when I was that age. I'm sure I would have, be doing something completely different because I had a lot of empathy from that because I was in so much pain.
Hmm.
That's why I lit up when I figured out, wow, I can help people get out of pain, right? And go and do things they never thought they could do.
Hmm.
And I've made that my life's work. So not that everybody has to do something like that, but just understand you've got possibilities. I don't care how dire it looks. I don't care how much you're suffering right now. You've got possibilities to grow and learn and help so many other people as you do. So that's what I would challenge people to do. And don't just do it for yourself. Like the things I do, the outcomes that I have now in my life, yeah, I'll benefit from them. But the reality is, many of them I'm doing just to prove that, hey, if I can do it, I know anyone else can do it.
Yeah.
So do it for the planet. Do it for Zelensky's not just helping the Ukraine. He's helping all of us understand how we can step up and support each other and feel a connection to each other.
Great, great. Well, thank you, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we will put up all your information in the show notes so that people can find you easily. But just so we know, can you just say for people who don't read notes? So the name of the book is?
Yeah, and I've got it in front of me. I kind of modeled it a little bit after The Alchemist because this is about shifting reality.
Yes,
It's
yes.
called The Breakthrough Code. The
Great.
Breakthrough Code, and I'm Tom McCarthy.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And your website, even though we're going to put it in the
Well,
notes?
there's two they can go to. One is thebreakthroughcode.com, and the other one is just tommccarthy.com.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Tom. It was a pleasure. Excuse me. It was a pleasure to meet you and to
Yeah.
have this conversation.
Yeah, but we didn't meet because you're my teacher from
That's
however
right.
many years ago. So
It was a pleasure to reconnect.
yeah,
You do
yeah.
look familiar. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, really wonderful being with you, Hale. And also just I love your work and I'm a huge fan of it. So thank you for everything you do for, the human beings on the planet that have gotten to experience the powerful releasing that you teach them to do.
Well, great. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with Tom McCarthy. You can learn more about Tom at tommccarthy.com. That's TOMMCCARTHY.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe so you have immediate access to future episodes. Please give us a 5-star rating and share it with the people you care about. If you'd like to learn more about my work, my mentor Lester Levinson's work on the Sedona Method, please visit www.sedona.com. As you explore our site, you'll learn the key to lasting happiness, success, peace, and emotional well-being. We have books, courses, events, and plenty of free material to explore. Again, go to sedona.com. That's SEDONA.com. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you in the next episode of Letting Go and the Greatest Secret.